तू ही कर। This
Okay,
meet is being recorded. Okay, let's start.
so let me introduce the things. Uh, Basically, we are Web Pips, a new channel, better to say, another channel on YouTube that talks about web development. Uh, we're going to talk about web development in a very layman terms, you can say, and we're going to discuss things that are very important, trendy, you can say, or very good return on investment. So this is the schedule we may be going to follow. We're going to meet every Sunday, and these are the
At 3 a.m.
people behind this channel. So let's start. The first thing first, what is WebD? What is WebD? Simply HTML is a JavaScript, right? Maybe some more things are there. Can Deves or Surveys, can any one of you start with the basics?
So the main
Okay,
basic of the web development is HTML. It's just like the structure or pillar of a website. So if you want to design a website, then you have to give some service, some structures, right? Like how it's look like, where it's going to be place a button. I mean,
Let's start it with a structure type of thing. Like you said HTML. People should start with HTML. Okay. Okay. Service wants to tell something. Web
so web
development refers to the
development
process of
is
building and maintaining websites, web applications,
an applications
including
including
both
front
front
end
and
and
back end.
backend
Okay,
services.
we'll get into this thing.
hmm So basically, in this lectures videos, we will talk about the structures of web development, how it builds, what is behind
Can
things.
you look into the can you look into the meeting screen if my screen is flickering?
Green,
If
yeah,
my
it
screen
is
is
flickering.
flickering white,
Yeah, sometimes it comes white and black.
okay. Maybe some problem with Excalibur. Okay, let's generalize it.
Yeah, every time it refresh,
WebD,
it
there are
start
so
blinking.
many great technologies like web, but we can say web 2. Also, there is web 3.
Saptarshi, can you please explain what is Web 2?
Web 2, we can say the things that uh, are the first generation of websites, where we can create things, buy things, and all.
E-commerce website types, blogging website, and all this.
Yes. We can actually interact with people in Web 2, unlike Web 1, which is only meant to be uh, inside a separate computer only.
hmm
And Web 3 is a different thing. We'll talk about this later. It's about blockchain and all, a very new technology. So Web
implementing
2.
hmm
web development with some other fields is come under Web 3.
Hmm.
Okay.
So main things in Web 2 are front end, back end, and sometimes DevOps, we can say.
Mm.
So
Okay, then
now make a list of the technologies we have used for front end, back end, and DevOps. DevOps is a new field
First,
for us also. We haven't done it yet.
most basic.
Hmm. Everything starts with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Okay. This is the mere basics everyone has to cover, but don't fall into the trap of it. Like 1 month or 2 months is enough, but you are completely dedicating it a whole year. Like people in first year, complete complete first year keeps doing this thing. This is not a good thing. After HTML, CSS, JavaScript, huh, one thing is must. I think we should separate HTML, CSS with JavaScript. Like HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, there is difference in HTML, CSS, and JavaScript because JavaScript is far more important than those two because it's a
A
complete
little bit more
language.
complex than rest two of them.
Hmm. There are so many concepts you can cover. So if you want to,
Mm.
if you want to keep doing the front end things, you can do JavaScript and do JavaScript only for a whole year, and you will learn so many new things. Even people do competitive programming in JavaScript. So it's up to you how much you want to learn it. But throughout your journey, JavaScript will be your only unseparable thing. Okay, so no limit, I can say, no limit for time. Okay, then,
And after this, then your basic pillars of your web development is now completed, or we can say front end.
uh,
Then you have to
after you have done this thing, you can easily build a portfolio or any static page.
Mm.
After
Like,
HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, you can easily build static pages or any basic front end things. So after front end is done, you have to know about controlling the data you have to show on the web pages. So for that, backend is there.
backend starts with
backend
Ideally,
help to maintain
Node.js.
your data. So if you want to just store the data you get from other user, or you want to show your data, then backend play a big role in it.
hmm,
And front end interaction increases. Like front end interact with backend, and then backend sends the data to the front end. And in between, we can find there is a database where we stores data.
There is a we can say complex connection between the front end, not front end to back end. I mean to say from one user to the database, as it goes to internet, then HTTP call, and then way other more complex processes.
hmm. So ideally for backend, you have to use a language, a proper language. Like JavaScript is good. Actually, JavaScript is Node.js, the same thing. Node.js is good, but uh, you should use things like Python and Go or even Rust for better security, scalability, and other features that the languages give. Node.js
We
is a
can
good
actually
choice
say that
because JavaScript already we have learned during front end, and while doing Node.js, the syntax remains same too. So the developers for developers it will be easy to shift from front end to back end in Node.js. Actually, in Node.js we rarely use direct Node.js. We use some framework for backend like Express. We can say Express is a very popular one. Express.js. Other than that, there are some other popular libraries for servers like Mono, but that is used for some other purpose. Express is a very general and popular thing. You should know Express.js after Node.js. So,
Initially, you people have to understand that front end is the face, back end is what your brain does for you.
hmm. And
Do you?
also databases are also one major. Databases store your data. So there are several types of database also. Like mainly two classifications are there: SQL and NoSQL. NoSQL you can say MongoDB, and in
Hmm.
SQL you can find MySQL, Postgres, MySQL, Postgres. These are the main types. Uh, People prefer to use MongoDB because that's a easy one. But you can choose according to your needs. We'll talk about the time later after we complete these things. So, service, anything more you want to add?
No.
Let's
Yeah,
talk about
basically it
some
is.
other technologies that are important but not the part of Ruby, like Bash. You should know about Bash scripting, basic commands in Linux.
GitHub.
Hmm. Get GitHub is one important, very important thing.
You should also have some basic knowledge of data structure and
Hmm.
algorithms.
Yes, that's also important.
Problem solving skills in coding. Basic.
Hmm.
Yes. So let's mark the things. First, we have to do HTML, CSS, JavaScript, like first HTML and CSS, basics of those, not very deep. You don't have to remember all the classes of HTML and on the tags of HTML. You can build anything using divs, although that's not a good practice.
Trying
Second,
to
we go
see
to
every website's component into the div form.
uh, second thing is JavaScript. You have to spend time to know everything in JavaScript, basically. So what are the main things you should know in JavaScript? Let's try to list it. Like basic syntax that includes uh, loops, conditionals, etc. You can find it except from that, what is special about JavaScript, like event loop. There
And
is things
also
like
how JavaScript works in background.
hmm,
Suppose
hmm, the-
if something has a async function, then how it works in
Actually
background.
works.
I mean, how the rest of the code works and that async functions work. So that one is
You have
important.
to understand this. Like how the promise resolves
hmm.
and the function waits for it.
Basically asynchronous
Should know
nature
all
of
these things.
JavaScript.
Hmm.
Also, one important thing is callback functions. Uh, there are more things that are complicated in JavaScript and that are very different for JavaScript. Like the oops in JavaScript is quite different. Also, what things are there? Some special functions like map, filter,
Slices,
slice,
reduce,
reduce,
and rest assets.
Maps.
split,
Maps हो गया. Flat. Flat.
flat. You can check those out. There is some very popular functions. You should know about JSON, how to parse them and how why we stringify them, those things. And and as front-end thing, you have to know about DOM, but that is not the part of JavaScript actually. That is part of JavaScript as a front-end tag, you can say. So JavaScript is everywhere. So for front-end, you can take mainly DOM manipulation. DOM manipulation. And another thing can be web APIs, like sound recording, you can say, or maybe text to speech. These are some inbuilt things the browser offers as web APIs. Okay, so JavaScript is good up till now in front end part. For backend, for backend, we should start with Node.js. Although there are other runtimes you can check out like Bun. Bun is a new and popular one. So, what are the main things in Node.js? The only thing is how file structure, know about the package.json, and how npm works, we can say, and basically how to create a basic server. Anything more you
Define
want to add
routes,
on?
ports on which it's
Localhost.
Add the things you need.
You will also get a knowledge about localhost on your machine.
One important module that makes it important, like Node.js offers, but the native JavaScript of the console or the front-end JavaScript doesn't offer is the file system module. You can access the files and make changes to them using this thing. And I think that's all for Node.js. So after that, after Node.js is completed, we can go to some database knowledge. MongoDB is a good start. We are assuming MongoDB. Basic thing, how to create schemas, how to
What are its models? How
what are models,
different functions works as a controllers and rest other
CRUD,
things. The
CRUD
first one is the
operation.
models. Models are nothing but the as a we have a structures for front end is HTML. Then in same as back end, if in database you want to define the structure of database, like how your data is going to be stored, at what form, is it going to be strings or integer, or it's going to be object id. So all you have to define, these are in models. You can make different types of models like user, and in which you're going to store the data about user. You can store anything else that you want. So
Hmm.
these all are going to be fit in models.
Hmm. So models and schema is very important. Basically, all these three things are very important because this is the main thing that controls your business logic of the app. So after MongoDB is done, after MongoDB is done, you can basically know, you can create a basic backend and connected front end with it. So you can basically create a full stack application. But creating the servers and managing the outs and controllers with Node is difficult. That's why you use a library. The name of the library is Express. What we basically learned from Express, mainly routing, as they were said, controllers. Basically, it simplifies the uh, creating server and managing those server. So after MongoDB and Express is done, and before we dive into creating our own web apps, we should know something like authentication. JWTs, what are JWTs? What are tokens? These are part of authentication. You should know
Yes.
those things. Uh, Apart from that, we should know how to create an API and connect the backend with it. We should know how to fetch the things, fetch in front end. Access is a good library for that. Hmm. Anything more you want to add? These things are complete, after these things are complete, we can do like we can try to build some basic apps. Like what can we build?
To-do app, chats app, a
Hmm.
basic
Hmm. So just
website or app
that's
that uses backend and
Up to this point,
use
we have learned HTML, CSS, JS,
JavaScript.
Node.js, Express, and MongoDB. So with this much technology, we can easily build apps like a
Basic
great
app
to-do app, chat app,
with their API.
maybe a
any
chat app,
e-commerce website.
Chat
e-commerce
app तो
website we can build, but the front-end part will be very long.
complicated.
Because there are
Same as me.
client-side routing and all, and doing those things in JavaScript is hard. So before doing those advanced apps, basically we can create apps that require only one HTML file, and
Hmm.
there is
For
no need
library.
of routing.
Hmm.
So after we do this thing, chat app needs socket IO in the backend and front end. So after this thing, we can dive into React, the most important front end library in today's date, you can say. React main thing is why React. Learn about reconcilers. Then we can dive into the hooks. The best thing is go to react.dev and learn everything. You can know about the hook, how the states work. Then what are the other major thing there is in React? You can type it here.
Uh, hooks. So,
Hooks, states. We can actually u- create components and reuse them again and again.
So
React
reusable.
is all about components. If you can
Hmm.
draw any website into component, then React going to play a major role in it. You can uh, uh, we can divide anything into component and then reuse it. So you have to code less and then make your website efficient by that.
Hmm.
We can also
And one
use
of the
this.
greatest thing about React is also that it update only the necessary part of the website.
Hmm.
You can learn about that thing in reconcile.
Yeah, like if we use this thing React
It's
Auto DOM,
improve its performance.
we can just
But
go from
this
one
thing,
page to
this
another
thing is
in a
done
very fastest way.
after we have completed the React things. I think there are more things in React that are important. Hmm. For getting those things. What are more important things in React?
In the we can actually use JSX thing, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. We are using the single page, creating a
Hmm.
function, and then we are just returning
Hooks are
its
very
value.
important in React. And
Hmm.
speaking of states, uh, there are some libraries. There are some libraries in React that are third party but very popular and used frequently. Like React Router Dump is one of the most important ones that are used for routing. Other than that, you can use Axios. For fetching data, then for state management, like for
States.
small apps, state management is not a big problem. But larger apps, state management becomes very difficult. So although React gives us the React context API, there are some libraries that offer some more features and are very much secure than React context API, very much optimized. Like uh, you all have heard of this Redux, then Recoil, Zoo and these are most popular ones. You can choose any one. The syntax is very similar for all these things. Then, if you have done up to this thing, you should know some good way to write CSS. So, Tailwind CSS is a good choice. And so you can actually write class-based CSS inside the component mm, already. So Tailwind CSS you can learn after that. Then, what is the next thing? You can also explore other CSS libraries like SATSIN is very popular nowadays. Material UI,
Daisy UI.
Material UI by this is the Google's UI system. Daisy UI is another thing. A popular Tailwind CSS plugin. Then Chakra UI. You will find thousands
Magic
of these
UI.
things.
Mm.
So after we have done this much thing, we can easily build most of the apps, most of the Web 2 apps, at least the basic version of those. And actually, these are enough for creating the business logics, but for giving some specific thing as a service, like in video calling apps, we use WebRTC or simple WebSockets in games or chat apps. These have to be learned separately if you want to build an app of this time. Even if you want to build a simple game, you have to learn libraries like Phaser or Babylon. So after this thing, if you want to learn anything, it depends on you and your usage. Up to this thing, you have learned a framework for actually React is not a framework, it is a library. But we can say you know a good